How do you allow someone to age at whatever stage they're in with dignity? And the fact is the vast majority of products that are on the market in this kind of medical alert space are things you have to wear around your neck. And you have to wear them outside your clothes if you want them to work properly in many cases. So you're dealing with a stigmatization issue. You're dealing with a potential targeting issue. Having to feel like you're old, then you put that on. And so, not surprisingly, many people don't wear them regularly. And so a watch is something people are going to wear regularly. They can, if they want to, they can cover their sleeve with it. No one needs to know that they're wearing a medical alert device.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Hi, and welcome back to the Strong by Design podcast. I am your host today, Coach Tanya Fines, and I'm joined today by Richard Hirsch. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Now, before we get going, I just want to tell our listeners a little bit about you, Richard, because you've got a very impressive bio. You have been involved in the medical alert system industry for about 5 years, initially as the Chief Marketing Officer of Connect America, which is the nation's largest medical alert provider. And now you are the Chief Marketing Officer of, is it UnaliWear? Am I saying that properly?
Yeah, as you would say, YouTube, UnaliWear. That's correct.
UnaliWear, okay. And you get that is they are the makers of the most innovative medical alert system in the industry. So I think this is a topic today that's really going to hit home, I think, with a lot of our listeners who have probably maybe aging parents or are responsible for caretaking either elderly family members or even neighbors or friends. So I would ask you all to pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, and join us for this conversation. So again, welcome to the show, Richard.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this industry, like how you got on board with all of this.
So like a lot of people that are listening or watching this, I have an aging parent and my wife has 2 aging parents. And so this is really something that kind of hits home. Anybody who's dealing with older adult or older adults in their family, mid 60s, 70s, 80s, and above, you're dealing with someone that is going through, issues that are starting to change how they can live their life, but they also want to remain, in many cases, fiercely independent. And so finding a way to balance the desire to age in place and maintain the life that they want to maintain, while still giving the peace of mind and security for themselves and for their family in case issues arrive that they probably wouldn't have thought about, 10 years earlier. It is finding that balance so that everyone feels like they can sleep at night, quite frankly, and everyone feels like there's a way to maintain someone's sense of security is really what we're in the business for.
Right. Well, I love that. And in your experience, would you say that, you mentioned how it sometimes creeps up unexpectedly. In your experience in this industry, do you find that those in need of the medical alert, that it kind of creeps up on them unexpectedly? I have elderly family members, and a common phrase is that while their body's getting older, they still feel like they're in their 30s and 40s. So all of a sudden they go to do something that they've done for a long time and they either struggle with it or they find it more difficult. So would you say that that's a fair assessment, that it also creeps up kind of unexpectedly on those that need it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. So certainly, Tanya, that is definitely one scenario. The other scenario is that, a husband and wife have been together for 30 or 40 years and one of them passes away. And now someone is by themselves for the first time in decades and having to manage a whole bunch of responsibilities that maybe they weren't focused on or had to be responsible for. Their entire way they interact with life changes. And so how do you ensure that isn't so overwhelming. When it's naturally going to be overwhelming, but how do you help take some of the pressure off both themselves as well as the people that love and care for them in a way that's as discreet and unintrusive as possible, while giving them the protection that they need, in case they have issues. And the nice thing about our product, I mean, I'm wearing it now. It's the Kanega Watch. Is that basically on your wrist you have someone who knows you can talk to through the watch, who knows who you are, who knows where you are, and has all your emergency contacts and all your medical information, and can speak to you through the watch for either major emergencies or minor emergencies, or if you're not responsive, can get you the help you need through either emergency contacts or by directly dispatching EMS to your GPS location. So it's kind of like having a 24/7 concierge on your wrist that you can speak to, who knows all about you. And for a lot of people, that's incredibly comforting.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the sound of that. I mean, first of all, the simplicity. I don't mean simple as in the technology, but in the user friendliness of it and the security that it provides. So with that, though, what I wanted to go back and ask, when creating the design for this and coming up with the technology and how it was going to be utilized, worn, used, all of those things, how important was the element of trying to look for the words here. How important was the element of that sort of respect, or making sure the last thing aging people want to feel is old? They don't want to be made to feel like they can't take care of themselves, or like they need things because they're too old to do it. So how important was that in creating the product?
Yeah, Tonya, I think the word you're looking for is dignity.
Yes. Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you allow someone to age at whatever stage they're in with dignity? And the fact is the vast majority of products that are on the market in this kind of medical alert space are things you have to wear around your neck, and you have to wear them outside your clothes if you want them to work properly in many cases. So you're dealing with a stigmatization issue. You're dealing with a potential targeting issue. Having to feel like you're old, then you put that on. And so, not surprisingly, many people don't wear them regularly. And so a watch is something people are going to wear regularly. They can, if they want to, they can cover their sleeve with it. No one needs to know that they're wearing a medical alert device. And this industry has really been stigmatized by the, I fall and can't get up tagline, which is a great tagline. I mean, it resonates because it really touches on one of the great fears that people have. But on the flip side, if you're, under 60 and you hear that, it's kind of like a late night comedy, show meme joke. But if you're 65, 70 or older, you're horrified by that because you don't want to be that person. And in this day and age, with the advancement of technology, you don't have to be that person. And you don't have to make a trade-off between stigmatization and safety. You can have both. You can have both safety and non-stigmatization. And that's really what we're going for.
I love that. And I think anybody listening that is either getting older themselves or has aging individuals, like aging parents, friends, family that they're helping take care of, are really relieved to hear that. I know, like, just for myself, hearing that, it's like, okay, because we can't, we are all aging, all of us, those of us that are 20, it doesn't matter. You're at some point in your life, you're going to hit that curve where things change. You might move a little slower, things might become more difficult, and just the comfort in knowing that there are tools and resources available that don't make you look or feel older than you maybe already, feel yourself. Because I totally agree. There's a lot of things out there that just, I don't know the nice way to say it, but you just look at them and think, oh, like, why does it have to be such an obvious, like, old person, elderly senior apparatus? Why can't it be like the watch you're wearing doesn't look a whole lot different than an Apple Watch, to be honest, which is cool. I mean, the watches are cool. So if we can come up with the technology that is cool, I think that's wonderful. So with that being said, though, why wouldn't people just get an Apple Watch for their loved one?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, Apple is a great company. They've made great products. Our founder sold one of our last two companies to Apple, so we're well aware of, what they can do. But, the Apple Watch is definitely complicated to set up and complicated to use. I mean, one of the issues is that as people get older, they lose the ability to operate touchscreens. Their fingers get dehydrated and the screens won't recognize the touching. That's true on a big cell phone or even on an iPad. It's even more true on a very, very small screen like an Apple Watch. So it can be frustrating for a lot of people as they get older to actually operate these things. And that's, one thing to say, oh my goodness, I can't push the button to get my steps. But what happens if in an emergency, you can't do that, right? That becomes not just an annoyance, but actually a life or death situation. So our product is not a touch screen. It doesn't require any learning. You basically take it out of the box. It's already been set up for you. So we do all the setup for the wearer before the actual watch ships out. So there's no setup. You charge the batteries, you put the batteries in the watch, and it boots up automatically, and you're ready to go. So there's a simplicity factor. In addition, the Apple Watch only goes to 911 in an emergency. And for a lot of our wearers, that's really not what they want to be the first line of attack or the first line of response. They want someone who they can talk to who knows who they are, who knows where they are, and can act as the representative in case they're not responsive. If you're not responsive with an Apple Watch and they send an unverified alert to 911, that may or may not get responded to based upon how Apple is or how the 911 operations is set up. There's stories in the papers and on the news about the Apple Watch sending EMS to amusement parks and to ski resorts because the false alerts go off, and if they're not verified, they just basically send them out of an abundance of caution. And so at some point, that's really a problem. And so for us, that's not what happens. The representative, has all the person's information and can act as the representative even if they're not responsive. That's a really, really big difference.
It sounds a little bit to me like the OnStar. I remember back when I bought my first, I bought a Tundra pickup back in, this is a long time ago. And OnStar was the new thing. And that's what it did. It had all your information. So it sounds a little similar in that you talk to somebody, and if all of a sudden you go dark or something happens, they know where you are and will send people to you.
It's funny. We did initially in the focus groups, going back a number of years, maybe people referred to this as the OnStar, for people. So you hit it perfectly. The other thing, just circling back to the Apple Watch, is you have to take that off every 18 hours to charge, right? This you never take off. It comes with very simple to remove and to change custom lithium rechargeable batteries. And it comes with 4 batteries, 2 go in the watch and 2 go in the charger that the watch comes with. So you never take the watch off to charge. You swap out the batteries. And that's a really, really important point because a lot of this is behavior modification. And so if you take something off because you have to shower, which you don't have to take our watch off if to shower. If you take it off because you have to charge, or if you're taking off your pendant because you feel embarrassed going outside, every time you have a reason to take it off, you have intransigent reason not to put it back on. And so a lot of these devices, get worn for a little bit of time, and then there's a reason to take it off, and the person just forgets. And unless you've built a habit of where it stays on your wrist regularly and you have no reason to take it off, it's really hard to create a behavior that sticks, particularly with some older adults. And, the data is pretty telling. When you're talking about the pendants people wear around their neck, they wear them about 30% of the time and rarely at night when they're most needing of protection. And, about 85% of our wearers never take their watch off. So it's just a different level of security. It's like getting, insurance on steroids. And people don't really realize it until they start to look at the products more carefully.
Yeah, very, very cool. So I had a question here. With your medical alert watch, if I'm living I live in Tampa, Florida, and let's say I have an aunt who's older, and I'm kind of taking care of her, and I get her this watch. Is that can that work? Like, am I going to have security? Like, is there some way that she can, I'm going to know if something happens, if she falls or if she gets or is in need of something, I'm going to know that?
Yeah. Let me explain how the protocols work. It's actually pretty cool. And
cool.
So with the Kanega Watch, you can get help in one of three ways. That's also unique to the industry. So fall detection, which automatically happens. So your aunt falls, the watch detects the fall, and the watch is really, really good at detecting falls and also identifying what's a fall and just what's an odd movement. I'll get into that in a second, but that's an interesting side point to discuss as well. So there's fall detection. There's voice activation. So she can use her voice to ask for help, but the watch will recognize that and connect to the monitoring center. It's a 24/7, 365 US-based monitoring center, just as a sidebar. Or she can just, what most people think about is I push a button and I get help. So we're button activated, voice activated, as well as fall detection activated. And that's really unique to the industry. And then if any of those alerts, Tanya, will go to that monitoring center. And the alert goes to that center and it goes to an agent. And the agent has all the wearer's information pop up on their screen. And the first thing the agent's going to try to do is speak to your aunt, through the watch. UnaliWear emergency response, how can we help you? If she's conscious, she can direct whatever care she needs. I mean, we've had people who use the watch to talk to the monitoring center to say, call my daughter and have her come over and get the blankets in the top of the closet because I don't want to shimmy up a step stool and I'm cold. And perfectly valid reason to use it. Or I've fallen, I don't need EMS, but have them call my friend and have them over and help me up off the floor. Any one of those things, right? They can do. So the nice thing is that for a lot of older adults and the people that are listening and are watching this can probably nod their head in this, they feel they get one of these devices and they're going to mistakenly push something and EMS is going to show up outside their door in 2 minutes. And they're going to be so embarrassed because they didn't really need it. We hear this all the time. And this is really different, right? You're in control if you are responsive, if you're conscious. You can just talk through the watch and tell them what you need. It's only if you're not responsive that then they'll try you initially on your primary phone number that you'll provide us as well, because you provide us with information that we use to set the watch up before it goes out to the wearer. Or if they can't reach the person there, they'll try the first emergency contact. Now, generally, that's someone who lives within close proximity to the wearer. So it might be like your aunt might have a friend or a neighbor or even a relative who lives nearby. They'd be called first. And by the way, the monitoring center agent, they always call out from the same phone number, which means that everyone can put it in their contact list to know it's not spam, which is super important these days. So you know to pick up. And so the agent will say, hey, we tried to reach your aunt, wherever the wearer is, through their watch, through their phone, they're not responding. Here's their GPS location. Are you nearby? Can you do a well check? And if you can do a well check, they'll wait. And if you can't, then they can dispatch EMS to the wearer's GPS location. That's true whether they're at home, they're out shopping, or they're in Alaska. Now, of course, if they're at home and you provided us with like a spare key location or a lockbox combination, or if they have certain medical conditions or medicine allergies, all of that can be shared with EMS by the agent. So imagine the way that they get to your aunt. When they get there, it's much faster to get to her. It's not just breaking down the door and then dealing with someone they have no idea who it is. They know a lot about her. And so that provides a lot more comfort. And then, of course, if that takes place, then the monitoring center agent calls every emergency contact on the list and let them know what happens. They inform the family as well. So it's really kind of a 360 circular
concierge service, really.
It is.
So
it is.
And, which was amazing.
Yeah. And you compare that to 911. No disrespect to 911, but
no.
The nice thing is, again, this service, the agent is dispatching EMS and accessing the same network as 911. So it's not like a second step. Generally, it's
right.
They're saying your aunt is here, and so here's the closest available ambulance for EMS service to here, and then they dispatch that.
I love that. I love that. It's like, because it's very like, it's like you've honed in. It's very specific to this this population, or the people that are in need of it for that population. So I wanted to ask, besides, and I'm gonna make this sound very generic, I'm painting with a broad brush. But other than, like, because you've talked a lot about what, like with medical alert and what your technology specifically, but in the medical alert industry, besides products and services that are designed for like getting help to people, what don't we know about the medical alert industry? What else should we know? Because I'm sure there's people thinking, okay, well, I've got, dad's getting older, mom's getting older. I need to start thinking about these things. What are some really useful, helpful bits of knowledge that we need to know about the medical alert industry when looking ahead at having to care for aging friends or family?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tanya. I mean, I could go on a long time about all the differences and what to think about. I'll focus on a couple. One is that the challenge with these devices in general is that almost all of them only connect through a cellular connection. Kind of like your phone, right? Your cell phone. Ours does as well. It connects through Verizon. So we use a Verizon data plan. It's actually on the watch. And that's fine when you're outside and you're traveling, because cellular service is readily available. But people don't really think about how small these devices are. And so the cellular antenna is also smaller. And so the challenge is, when the vast majority of times when you're going to need help from a device like this, the wearer is going to be at home. Well, that's probably the worst place to expect to get cellular service. I mean, I don't know, when I come home, the first thing I do is I switch my phone onto Wi-Fi, right? Because cellular signals can be spotty, it can drop, maybe no connection at all, which is an annoyance if you're just trying to make a phone call. But in an emergency, that's life or death. So we're one of the only ones I know in the industry that collect the wearer's home Wi-Fi information before the watch ships out. And we add those credentials, the name of the Wi-Fi and the password. We add those credentials to the watch so that when they're home, it connects automatically through their home Wi-Fi. When they leave their house, it switches to Verizon. It's not a point people focus on until they actually get one of these devices and they discover it doesn't work in their shower or in their internal bathroom, with ceilings and load-bearing walls. They get a medical alert device that only runs on cellular, and it doesn't work in their shower. It doesn't work, when they're 2 feet away from their bay window. It doesn't work in their basement. Like, all the things you can think of where there's challenges with cellular connectivity, but it has to work in their home, and it has to work all the time. And the Wi-Fi provides a much more stronger layer of protection to ensure that actually takes place.
Okay, excellent. Got it. Now, over the years, because I can remember, I think it was in the 80s, the commercials with "I've fallen and I can't get up." And that's when I really remember it becoming like, wow, this is, the face of that has kind of changed. The nature of it changed. How much over the years has medical alert industry evolved?
I mean, not a lot, right? There's still mostly these pendants. It's a very commoditized space, so the challenge people have, and we get this all the time, people call up to our customer success team and they say, "I just have a question," because they know that the vast majority of times they're going to be held on the phone, almost, be held on the phone and not be allowed to get off, because they're very aggressive sales tactics in this industry. And because if the products are all the same, they want you to buy from them, because they know if you hang up and call somebody else, they'll just buy from somebody else because they're identical products. And so there has not been a lot of evolution. This is really the most advanced product on the market in the medical alert space. And it's the only one that's actually been designed with the help of the people that are actually wearing it. So this has gone through hundreds of focus groups, in-home testing. And most importantly, this was designed and developed with the help of the founder's mom, who was turning 80 and wouldn't wear any of the traditional medical alert devices. So it's got a really good story, it's kind of like an origin story. And so the mom was literally the senior experience officer for the company, until she passed away, and everything had to pass through her. And so you have things that other companies wouldn't think about, like the time shows very large white on black lettering. Because if you have macular degeneration or some amount of it, hard to see color. Another difference with the Apple Watch, right? And so the batteries are easy to remove. They're not like these little silver batteries you would think about from hearing aids. They're easy to handle even if you have limited dexterity. Like, it's just thoughtfully designed with the help of the audience that actually is going to wear it. That's kind of mind-blowing in this industry. They don't think about that.
I was just going to say where where if you're somebody that is evidence-based or wants evidence-based, or, what the data shows, the data has to be relevant to who's going to be using it. Otherwise, I mean, to have a bunch of 30 or 40-year-olds or even 50-year-olds maybe, testing out this product, is how relevant is that to someone in their 80s? Or, I mean, because now, considering too that the time that we live in, people are living longer because, with education and science, we know ways to take better care of ourselves. Our, healthcare, medicine, all of these things have grown over the years, have evolved. So people are living longer. And they're living a greater quality of life longer than, many, many, many years ago. So having the relevant audience actually use and test it is pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
The other thing that I agree entirely. The other thing I would focus on is that I touched on this briefly before. Most people, the biggest feature they're looking for is fall detection. That's the one you're focused on with your aunt, right?
Right.
And that's why I fall and I can't get up is such a powerful tagline, right? Kudos to the company that did that. But so it's meaningful, it resonates. But the challenge is that fall detection is really hard to do. To detect a fall and not to go off all the time for non-falls. Finding that balance is really hard.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, yeah. So I mean, the industry has based their fall detection historically on fake falls, because there's no data of what a fall looks like. So it's simulated falls, lab falls. They hired younger people to fake fall, and then created the kind of the model, the predictive model around that. And it's a static model; it doesn't change, right? That really is not, think about how someone in their 30s falls and how your aunt might fall. They're two totally different things. And people want to test the fall detection and they hold it above their head and they drop it on the bed. Your aunt is never going to fall that way. So if you go off for all those other reasons, you're not buying fall detection. You're buying motion detection. Kind of like, when someone passes by your house and the lights go on. Right. That kind of motion. How long will your aunt wear that device?
Right.
If she has a motion detector versus a fall detector.
It's constantly going off, right? Or constantly being alert.
Exactly.
Right.
So the number one reason why these products get returned, because people get frustrated. Fall detection. And we've actually done secret shopping with some of our competitors, and we hear the people on the phone saying, don't buy the fall detection upgrade. She's just going to be annoyed by it. That's just not an answer. It's not an answer. So what we did as a company is the watch is connected to the cloud. I don't want to get too nerdy here, but the watch is connected to the cloud, which means that we collect real fall data of what a fall looks like by someone like your aunt and thousands of other people like your aunt. And we use that data to build a fall detection and build and improve our fall detection predictive model. So what that means is that, and also if the fall detection on our watch, if that alert system goes off and your aunt didn't fall, she just needs to push the button on the watch. There's only one button, super simple, and everything stops. But we also record that because now we're like, oh, wait a second. We asked your aunt if she fell, she didn't fall. So we're going to take that data and inform how we talk to her, how we alert her in the future. Right. So there's kind of a micro benefit as well as the macro benefit of we collect all this data and we're able to actually make a much more accurate fall detection predictive model. And not only that, but we can also, which we do regularly, we push updates to every watch at no cost to the wearers as we build more and more data, as we collect more and more data. And we know more and more of what a fall actually looks like on the wrist and what a fall doesn't look like, all the watches get smarter over time.
Right.
So that's how you create fall detection. You don't do it as a static model on fake falls, because that's just motion detection.
Right.
And that's a huge differentiator.
Right. And you need to know a fall versus a trip or a stumble, or just simply drop the watch or whatever, bumped into something. So with the watch, what is the life expectancy? Because I don't know what kind of phone you use. I use Apple. I mean, I'm invested in Apple with everything. But I swear the phones are made to last about 18 months to 2 years, because at 2 years, I need to get a new phone no matter what. I'm very careful with my things, but it seems like it's just that's sort of when its time is up. So for those listening, wondering like, okay, so I invest in this, but how often am I going to have to be buying a new one?
Yeah, it's really rare. A couple of reasons. One is that you're wearing this on your wrist, and so the act of wearing on the wrist actually keeps it fairly protected, right? It anchors to your wrist, and so it's hard to have an issue with the watch in terms of breakage that way. And then also in addition to that, your phone has a lot of apps.
Yes.
And a lot of and you're going online, surfing the web. There's a lot of activities that are taking place that start to create, problems with the phone. That doesn't happen here. There's no internet connectivity. It's a simple product. It's also our own closed operating system, which we update regularly. So, we've had people that have had these watches for years and have had no issues. They just wear it. They forget they have it on, which is the most wonderful thing possible. That being said, we do have, a limited lifetime warranty. I mean, if it malfunctions because of a manufacturing issue, anytime, we'll replace it. But it's, like I said, those things are kind of rare because the watch is designed, really to be durable. And again, it's being used for very, very specific needs and nothing more than that. So it doesn't really get outdated, so to speak, like your phone would.
Right. Okay. Love that. This has been, for me, and I'm sure for a lot of our listeners, this has been a really great conversation. Like I've learned a lot. I'm very interested in this watch because my parents are older, and it's something that is at the point that I'm at in my life. It's very relevant. It's something that my siblings and I think about. Mom and dad getting older, and there's too many steps in the house, or somebody's got to be, somebody needs to be available to help with the big heavy things, when a new TV is ordered, or just moving things around. And it becomes a part of our life. If you're anybody whose parents are still alive, it does become a part, or it will become a part of your life at some point. So you shared a lot of really, really great things with us about the technology. But to tie it up, if you were to give our listeners 3 to 5 top reasons why this is a great investment for that loved one, what would that be?
I would start with just the simplicity of the design with the functionality of a watch, right? Because you want something that's simple to use, no setup required, and that gives them functionality every day, and gives them no reason to take it off, because that starts to create a behavior that they will keep wearing it. And wearing it and safety are directly linked. If you get something for them and they don't wear it, there's no value. So that's where this really becomes valuable. I know that it sounds kind of nerdy, but the Wi-Fi connectivity is really, really differentiating. And so what I would say is that if anyone who's getting one of these devices for a family member or for a friend, you have to do test calls in every room of the house where the wearer has it at different times of the day and night, just to make sure it works everywhere. Ours will. Other companies may not. And of course, you're, again, paying for protection. You make sure you get the protection that you deserve. And I think the last thing is non-stigmatization. It actually comes full circle to what you and I talked about initially, Tanya. No one wants to feel like they're being targeted as old, identified as old. They don't want to. The medical alert devices that are out there tend to do that, unfortunately, and that's why. What sadly, and I think your followers, listeners are going to, and viewers are going to see this. I mean, there's only about 8% of the people, 65 or so or older, that even have one of these devices, and so they're voting to not get one, even though they're very protective, very helpful, because they don't want to be stigmatized. So I think, you need to really, really focus on that of what will they wear? What do they not have to take off? Because that will, what will work in an emergency, and what will give them benefits every day. So actually they're going to want to wear it, because if they want to wear it, that's more than half the battle. Yeah.
That is. And I love what you guys have, I love what you've created. I love the technology. I love the fact that it's a watch. So it's not some big clunky thing, or it's not something that screams, I'm old, I'm old and I need help. I love that. I love that it looks like an Apple Watch. And I love the specificity of it, as along with how simple it is, really, because it's really just, you've really zeroed in on that population and what the need is, and addressing it very effortlessly and very efficiently. I think that's, great peace of mind for a lot of people. And I love how the battery thing is just simple, because I know elderly people that will refuse to wear hearing aids because they just can't be bothered with, they're tiny and trying to change the battery. So they'll wear them long enough until the battery's dead, and then that's it. Then they won't wear them. So then there's that concern, like, well, what if something's, I'm banging on the door, and what if they've fallen and I can't get in and they can't hear me? So I love how it really feels like you guys have thought of everything.
It's funny.
Audience specific.
I would agree. Circling back, the story I was telling you about the woman who used the watch to call the monitoring center to have their daughter come over to get the blankets from top of the closet. That actually happened. And that's part of, our company lore. But what's interesting is that the call that we got after that from the daughter, almost in tears, saying how the fact that she now knows her mom is wearing and using the watch, she can sleep at night. And she said, you gave me back the gift of sleep. Like, how do you not want to get up in the morning and just come to work?
Exactly.
Right? Because you're helping the woman who's by herself at home, second floor of her house, has no idea where her phone is. A lot of older adults have no idea where their phone is most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know
where it's happening.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like the fact, right. So she gets this benefit, and the daughter is then completely happy to know that she's protected, and she doesn't have to worry that she's taking it off. She has a sense of calm and security that only we can give her, and we're quite proud of that fact. Well,
yeah, because it's not, now you're serving two different audiences. You're serving,
we always are,
that need it for they need it, and the other ones that need it, for the peace of mind and just being able to relax back into life, knowing that mom, dad, Aunt Sophie, there's that safety net there. There's that security that if something happens or if they need something, it's available, and it's available now.
It's funny you bring that up. It's really quite insightful, because when we finish, we do an onboarding call, like a personal onboarding call with every wearer. A couple of days after they start wearing the watch, we want to talk to them, want to make sure they're happy. We can actually make adjustments remotely to the various features of the watch without them having to do anything, just by asking for them. So it's a very, kind of white glove experience. But at the end, and sometimes it's just with the wearer, sometimes it's the wearer, it's three relatives that are on the phone as well, because, it's the care circle as well as the wearer. And the last line we say is, we really hope that the Kanega Watch gives you and your family the peace of mind you deserve. You deserve that peace of mind. Other companies will not give it to you, and we will. That's our ultimate goal. And that's also for the wearer, but also for the entire care circle. You deserve peace of mind, and we hope that the Kanega Watch gives you that peace of mind, because that is our ultimate goal.
Love it. Love it. I really thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule to be on the show. I love this technology. I love what it offers. I love how it serves. So before we say the official goodbye, we'll include it in the show notes, but can you tell our listening audience where they can find you and where they can find out more about the watch?
Absolutely. So the company is called UnaliWear. It's spelled UnaliWear, UnaliWear.com. The founder is part Native American. And so in Cherokee, Unali means friend, and Kanega means speak. So we're the friend that speaks to you. So that's why those terms are used. So UnaliWear, UnaliWear, UnaliWear.com. And in addition, we have a pretty robust and active YouTube channel. And so if you go to UnaliWear on YouTube, we actually have recently published a 4-part truth series. They're each about 4 to 5 minute videos, but it's all the things that other companies won't tell you when shopping for a medical alert device. And this is really in response to people just calling us totally frustrated by talking to other companies, not getting the information they want, not getting their questions answered. And so our goal was trying to ensure that wasn't the case. And so they're really simple videos. They give a lot of great information, and we really hope that they add value and they simplify the process for people that are shopping for a medical alert device for themselves.
Right.
At Shane Level.
Fantastic. Well, that is wonderful. Okay, so we will include that in the show notes, so in case you're driving, listening to this. But again, Richard, thank you so much for coming on the show. It
was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in and listening and joining our conversation today. Please share this podcast with someone that you know. I mean, this is tremendous technology. This is a tremendous way to serve an aging population with dignity and giving both audiences peace of mind. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review. I am Coach Tanya with Richard Hirsch saying goodbye, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.